Yeah. Bit excessive.
Last minute. Oh, you got to dance.
I love doing that. I'll just throw it like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to talk and now I got to dance on
The
this.
best
thing,
was
too?
Giuseppe. We're like, hey, you got to. I don't dance. And he sat there. He just looked at us.
Do you know who Giuseppe is?
No.
He's a fighter. He owns CFC, and I mean the guy is. He's got a good personality. He's just got a very dry personality. So trying to get him to do fun stuff.
He only dances like by himself in his kitchen when no one's watching.
I don't even know if he probably just beats up his kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what he's doing, that guy. Anyways, well done on that. Everybody, welcome to today's podcast number 39. Before we get into and before I introduce the guest, let's talk about our sponsor for the day, and that is Anita Sharma and Roz Matos from Remax. Yes. They're also my agents. They're selling my property right now.
Doing a fantastic job.
Very good, yep. Recognized as top producers in their industry year after year, Anita has recently been named Remax's #1 individual agent in Manitoba for 2019. So from detached houses, condos, commercial buildings, and custom-built homes, they have the resources and the network to get the job done. Call 204-989-9000, or you can visit her at anitasharma.com. Yeah, real quick, she's selling my property, and she got me a showing the other day, and guy seems pretty interested. So, hell yeah, she's really
Could
great.
be an NK.
Could be. I could be living here sooner than later.
Or in the gym.
Or in the gym. I'm just going to pitch a tent and move it accordingly, right?
You got your room right there, man.
I don't know. I'd rather pitch a tent. I like the more open space. So let me introduce you to today's guest, the lady sitting next to me. Today's guest started a company called TutorBright 5 years ago and now has locations in Winnipeg, Regina, and Saskatchewan and employs over 500 tutors.
That's insane.
TutorBright creates individualized academic and mentorship programs for kids. She has been featured on CTV Winnipeg many times as an education expert. That's awesome. She has a strong passion for business, education, empowerment, and manifestation. When she's not working or being a slave to her children, she loves to travel anywhere hot with sandy beaches. A perfect weekend would be a quick trip to Vegas for a pool party, some shopping, and a little bit of roulette. Oh, a little gambler. Oh, nice. She has a passion for journaling, loves meditation and working out, and final fun fact, she loves mayonnaise with a couple of eggs added to it. Let me introduce to you Chelsea Arns. Woo.
Thank you for
Welcome to the show, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's my first podcast. I'm super excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a traveler.
Yeah.
You're a traveler. Let's talk about that.
Sure. You should learn how to say that in Espanol.
Let's talk about that.
That's just his
All right.
catchphrase.
So we want to do a little icebreaker with Chelsea. Chelsea, let's talk about your favorite vacation spots.
Yeah, so before all the COVID stuff broke out, actually, I went to LA with a girlfriend. We did a wellness weekend where we journaled, meditated, did sound baths, and we actually went and saw Oprah and J-Lo.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was this huge empowerment women's conference. What was your vision for 2020? So that was awesome. That was in early March. We were lucky to leave when we did because when we got back, literally everything shut down.
Did you have to quarantine after that, or was it early enough?
It was early enough. It was a week earlier. A week later, they said if you had been in, then you'd have to quarantine. So I didn't. But I don't do much or go anywhere really anyhow.
Yeah. You're going to force me to stay home?
Yeah, exactly, right? Although now I wish I would give anything to go sit at a Joey's bar with a couple friends.
So here's the thing, okay? Yesterday we had Jason Vega on. He works for Winnipeg Dodge. And don't go out and buy something big, okay? There's this need right now that people want to feel really good, and so some people are buying big things while they're on, not working and stuff like that. So if you get that feeling, don't go buy a new Porsche, okay?
Okay, it's funny you say that because I'm actually wanting to go and test drive this new car next week. So it's a good thing you said that.
Vegas, hey, the psychology behind it.
Only if you go to Winnipeg Dodge, then you get our approval.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see that guy. He's actually awesome just to talk to.
Yeah,
he's a motivating guy. He's just like you.
And he's a parent.
Jason Vega.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that name somewhere.
Okay, so conference, you get back.
Yeah, so we got back, and then, oh my lord, well, everything just shut down, right? They're starting to talk about, schools being shut down, and just, so I'm glad I got to go when I did, and the nice thing about it was just me and a girlfriend, no husband, no kids, so it was all about me, which was awesome. I find that women don't spend enough time on themselves, right? Women are such givers. It's all about making the house ready, the housekeeping, the groceries, the dinners, the work, the kids, this homeschooling, and I'm a very big advocate for like women taking time for themselves and self-care. So it was good that
I
I got
agree
to
with
do it
that.
when I did.
Yeah.
And that's probably what a
Everybody.
lot of people are struggling with right now too, is
Mhm.
that the blue, which is more than just a gym, is
More than just a workout.
more than just a workout.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
This was their
Yes.
like their 30 minutes. Not to say
Yeah.
escape, but it's
Yeah.
it's a time
All
for
about
you to
them.
focus on just you. And the thing I loved about when we were doing circuit training was I would go from a station to station, and there was really no time
Yes.
to look, right. And so
Yeah.
me as the owner, I would always, I'd be doing something on my back, and I see that spot on there, or what is Rick talking about now while he's coaching, and I just really tune out. And so
Yeah.
for me, when I'm here on the floor, I'm a client, right? And I fully get involved with it. So I know when you're at home, kids are running around. Like we
Mhm.
have Zoom chats, and they got like their dogs are next
Yep.
to them, and it's
Yeah.
great. I'm super proud of everybody that's doing this, because like there are people that are crumbling and falling off and just waiting
Yeah.
and sitting on their butt, and
Yeah.
the butt's going to get bigger. And so I commend everybody that's working out at home.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking time for yourself, very important.
Yeah.
Being selfish, and I use that word because I feel like it's a very negative word, but I feel like you need to be selfish and take care of yourself. Tell all the moms out there, especially the moms, because for some reason, every time we have a lady talk, she says the same thing, right? What is that? How do you override that guilt to not put yourself, or to put yourself first? Put the kids second for a second. How do you get over that?
You detach from the guilt. You just detach from it.
Oh, I like this.
And for me, I know that when I start making these non-negotiables in my life, where it's like I meditate morning, afternoon, and evening, 10 to 15 minutes, it's non-negotiable. I do that. I exercise 5 days a week, non-negotiable. I take time to myself. I leave my house. I'm lucky I get to have an office that I can go to where I can physically leave. That's such a big thing for me, is because otherwise I got 3 kids screaming at the door trying to get in.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So being able to like just get out of the house is huge. And I really just detach. And I know that if I take time for myself and I fill my cup first, every single one of my relationships gets better. My husband benefits, my kids benefit. Like I'm a better wife, I'm a better mom, I'm a better friend. I'm more present when I come back. And there's just like the guilt. I've learned to let it go. But
Yeah.
I know that it is a big thing. But once you're able to let it go, there's just so much on that other side.
Do you think there's a trick to letting it go? Like, do you think there's a psychological switch? What can you tell people out there that here's how you let it go? Or how did you practice doing that?
Yeah. For me, I remember I was talking to a coach. I had hired a coach, and I was getting ready to go on a trip. It was another girls' trip. Oh, I was going to Vegas for my sister-in-law, my now sister-in-law's bachelorette party, my first ever all-girls trip to Vegas, which I like going with my husband. That's cool. But girls' trip to Vegas is like another level of fun. Let me tell you, it's so good. So I'm getting ready to go on this trip, and I'm telling my coach, I'm like, I feel guilty. I feel guilty that I'm leaving my 3 young kids at home and my husband, and I'm leaving my work. And she's like, well, don't you deserve to have fun? Like, don't you deserve to take care of yourself? Like, why should you not be allowed to have time for you? And I think as like a mom, we're person before we have kids, and then we're a completely different person after we have kids. And it's really about connecting with like who you are. And the only way to do that is if you have time for yourself, right? To have fun without your husband, without your kids, and just to realize like, who am I and what makes me happy?
Yeah.
So let me ask you the same question then, Rick. How do you get time for yourself?
Well, Jen and I have a very clear understanding that we are our number one priorities. Jen is her number one priority. I'm my number one priority. And we say it out loud, and it's known that. So we always take care of ourselves first. It's not even that big of a deal. Like, so that's why I asked this question, because I know people struggle with that. We don't anymore because we have a clear understanding, but maybe it's because her and I do it together, right? So I don't know, maybe in some relationships, somebody might want to be selfish and take care of it. The other person doesn't. So that person still has the guilt, right?
Yes.
So to answer your question, that's what it would be. It would just be an open, clear understanding that we're each other's number one priority.
I love that, actually. And my husband, like when he realized that I started doing all these things for me, he's like, well, I'm going to leave at 3 then. And I'm like, good, go, go. Like, you need this. And so we're each other's supporters now, and it's awesome.
You almost need that, not that you need their permission at first, but you kind of do at first. And then it just becomes, this isn't such a big deal. You know what I mean? Yeah.
When they support you, everything's easier.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, that's a good point.
For me, I always schedule time, like for myself,
Yeah.
and my time is very minimal. There's a time when I go on my social media, and when I go on my social media, it's not business related, but it is, meaning that like I'll go into our clients' posts and I'll engage, and like it gives me about of happiness to like be encouraging to those people. But
Yeah.
I will schedule that, and then I'll also schedule like before I go to bed, and that's the bad habit of watching TV before you go to bed, but that's my time, right? So it's like this is the only time where I get like one screen and nobody around me, and there's always something to pick up, or there's something to do, or something, right? There's always somebody's messaging me. I shut the hardest part for me is to shut my chats off, right? So I don't get the pop-ups anymore. Like I used to, I shut that off, and then I see 10 messages pending, 3 text messages. I'm like, no, you're watching Last Kingdom or
That's
whatever
good,
I'm watching.
though, that you're so disciplined. We are like, hey, this is my time for this.
Yeah.
Because that being disciplined with and intentional with how you spend your time and your energy, like that's a game changer. A lot of people like wish they would do that, but then they don't, right?
And the thing about being like a business or whatever it is that you deal with where a lot of people need you for things is that it can wait. Like there's an appropriate time for things. And yesterday I had a client, so one of my other businesses, we need to get on a call right now, 5 minutes. I need you. And I'm like, all right, well, here's my support guy. Okay. Contact him. You guys arrange a call. Let me know if you still need me afterwards. And I said the night before he needed that call, and I said, okay, we'll get on it tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I find it takes a sense of it takes some maturity as a business owner to come to that level. Because I remember when I was starting my business, literally, I was working like 14, 15, 16-hour days. I mean, I loved it. It didn't feel like work, but I was like always on the urgency, always on the go. I was getting back to people right away.
Yeah.
And then, but that's not
Triggered.
sustainable.
You're triggered.
Yeah, but that's not sustainable. And then you realize, wait a minute, no, there's a time and a place, and this is my rest time. Otherwise, I'm going to burn out.
I think a lot of people are triggered. Right, you get into that point where it's like I
don't know if triggered's the word.
But here,
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
You react.
You're overworking, you're over delivering, you're over helping, you're doing everything, right? And you're like, so when somebody piles something on your plate, it becomes a new urgency. So it's like, hey RJ, I need that new T-shirt design. Hey RJ, your kid is behind in his homework. Hey RJ, I need the workout for today. Hey RJ, I need this. Hey RJ, okay, I got it all today. What? And then and then you're preloaded.
Yeah.
Right?
That's your trigger, you mean?
Yeah. And so you get preloaded to get triggered, where some people, they'll collapse, cry, and go hide in a corner.
Yeah.
Or people like me and Rick, we're going to get bitey. Right?
You're
probably a bitey person too,
Yep.
I would assume, right? And so for people out there, like parents or business owners or whatever it is that I work off lists. I think you're a list guy too. I like to write things down, put them in order. If I don't get them done, I just transfer it over to the next day.
Yeah, same.
So when people are getting overwhelmed, and I feel like before this, and I could think of one specific mom where she's not working, kids are even a little bit older, but she's always, I'm so busy, I can't go to the gym, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, you told me one thing.
Yeah.
Right? You told me that one thing that you do in your day. It's like, okay, so why don't you write those things down so it's not so like stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Right? If I can't sleep, I get my journal out and I just write it out. I'm like, okay, boom, deal with it tomorrow.
Get it down. Yep.
I feel like a lot of people tie their value, their importance to being busy, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Taking everything on their shoulders and never asking for help.
But they'll always be like, "But I'm so busy."
Yeah.
It's really like just own it.
And then they're triggered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just fine. But that's a psychological thing. Man, I think I should be a psychologist. I'm really getting to the
you're a
psyche
coach
of a lot of things now.
Dude, you're a coach.
Yeah.
Do you find that too? That people just like to be busy, and they find that's how they attach their identity almost.
100%. And actually, it's funny that you bring that up because I'm an overachiever. And I'm a doer, and as I started my business and you want to achieve a sense of like accomplishment and success, you feel like you have to do. And I think at the beginning you do have to work hard and do a lot, but now what I've learned to do is I've learned to step back and delegate or like really just decide, okay, what is a priority and an urgency right now, and I'm actually trying to be more and do less. So I'm more cognizant now of the energy I'm bringing into the work that I'm doing, and I find that is the big game changer. Because I used to do, and I'd work till 3 a.m. and think, wow, like look at me, I'm working till 3 a.m. Like this is gonna pay off.
Brag about it.
Yeah, and like you thought that was like big thing, and yeah, cool. That's I do that every now and then now too. But really, it's about the being. Like if I'm like And I found that, like, hey, now I'm just micromanaging. Like, if I'm working till 3 a.m, I'm micromanaging, and I'm not trusting the people that I've hired to do their job.
Yeah.
And that's not helping. And I was like, I'm doing all this extra work for nothing, and I'm not even making things better. So now I'm stepping back. I'm doing a lot more reflection, and I'm more so just focusing on being the leader that's going to empower my team to do their job better. And I find that that's a big game changer is when you just like reflect and you be more and do less.
Yeah. No, I like that for sure. Is this your first business?
The
tutor business?
my own business.
That's it?
Yes, my first one. But so it actually started out in Southern Ontario. It's a partnership, so I'm not the founder of it.
Okay.
I partnered up, and so I started it in Winnipeg, Regina, and Saskatoon when it was like in its infancy. But there is a partnership, and so I didn't create it all myself. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's my first business.
Sorry, I might have jumped ahead. Did we finish talking about vacation places yet?
You haven't hit yours yet.
Oh, I haven't hit mine?
Yeah.
Well, like, what was the question? Where do I want to go?
Vacation spots. Let's get a little dreamy. Let's get a little imagination going. We want to start people to start getting dreamy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dreamy.
Dreamy.
I'm going to dream. You know what I really like is, and probably I might just be getting sold this, but I feel like Thailand is that sort of beautiful place that you got to go to where they have all kinds of islands and boats and stuff like that. I'm a bit of a minimalist. I don't necessarily, you and I would be a little different. I don't like going to Vegas and spending time in a hotel. I do like to go to the trees and spend time in a tent. To each their own. So I would like to do that. Maybe, like maybe a little hut on the ocean or something like that would be cool for me.
I'm trying to think if that even exists. So I've been to Thailand and we've gone.
Does it exist?
Not really.
You got
to be honest.
You got to buy the.
It's a very there isn't high end. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I don't know if it exists. So there would be like a hotel, but their hotels are not like Vegas hotels. They're like legit, like a 3-star here kind of thing. And you are on the beach, and the beaches are beautiful, but it's I'm not gonna ruin your dream.
Do you like motels? Do you like the idea of a motel? Or
what's a motel?
Motel's like a 2-story.
It's like where you can drive your car up and you have like your own access to the door, right?
Yes. I mean, it's always kind of thought of as a low-end place to stay, but I don't know.
Is that Airbnb or?
No, it's I don't know how you kind of similar to a hotel. Just like I said, you enter your room from the outside. You don't walk through a lobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually 2 stories. You might have to walk up the stars to get to the second.
Okay.
I just feel like there's a little charm about motels. Of course, there's those rundown dumps that you do not want to go because you know you're getting your head cut off in one of those things, right? Yeah. But these really nice ones, these chic ones, especially the ones that were built in the 70s, they got cool old signage, vintage stuff like that. And I like those kinds of things too. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Vegas
yours?
only for the pool parties. Like if I ever go again, it'll be just to pool party, maybe catch a show that I would never be able to see. But generally it's like pool party. I get there nice and early, do my thing. Like I'm like, I don't want to wait no line. So I'm getting there early.
You guys are very similar that way.
Yeah. And I will stay right until they kick us out.
Me too.
And then I go and be a shenanigan in the right, and go eat a burger and fries, and then just chill in the room, and then just go to bed. Because the nightclubs are not good there. Like I don't know, like to
not
me,
good. I thought they're the best in the world.
Yeah, no, I've had some pretty good times there.
It's just not a. It's okay. So for me, my experience with going it is it's cool if you want to go and sit in your booth, like you're crowded, and then you can't really go and walk around and be with the environment. Whereas in a pool party, it's just a free for all of people in the pool, right? Unless I'm with my a big group of friends and then we're in our own little thing. But I like being in the pool, and I just if I'm there, I'm getting crazy. I'm gonna be the guy dancing on the stage, and I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm in the mix. I'm not there to be isolated in a booth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you the girl dancing on the stage? Is that you?
Maybe not on the stage, but on I'm dancing on something. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And
I'll dance on this stage right now.
if the music's right, then it's fun, right? It's and you're with a fun group of people, and the music's right, and the drinks are flowing. It's fun. It doesn't even matter where you are, but yeah.
Do you have a favorite Vegas spot? Or anything Vegas is fine.
Like Aria or Caesar's Bellagio. I love that that ceiling with all of the glass, different colored glass things, whatever. It's so beautiful to stare at. Yeah, so I would say those places.
Yeah.
But
when's the last time you were there?
I was there in Actually, when I went to LA, we had a like layover in Vegas for a few hours, and I took the girl that I had gone with. I was like, let's go, like look in one of the stores. So we went and did a bit of shopping, and we went and played roulette, and I won $100 in like 10 minutes.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know when to leave. That's a trick, right? Is when knowing when to leave the table. As soon as you're up, you go.
You go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so you're a traveler. You like flying. You like the whole idea of flying and going
Yeah.
to city to city.
Yeah.
Do you have any travel hacks? I'll give you one that I mean. Maybe this is a little off topic, but and actually, I think you might have even told me this, or two things actually. Number one, take a water bottle, fill it there. Don't buy water
yeah.
for $8 at the airport. That
Yeah.
was the
Exactly.
worst. Second thing, bring your own chapstick because it's $8 at an airport.
yeah.
So those are the two things that I always make sure that I have. Is
If you're a parent, diapers.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Remember when we got stuck in Denver there,
yeah,
or
we're
Chicago?
Well,
or
sure,
wherever
we're
it was?
borrowing diapers from.
Yeah, because they were like $8 each,
Yeah.
American.
Goodness.
$12 diaper.
Nary chases
Wow.
this lady into the. Can I borrow a diaper?
Yeah, we've got that.
It was awesome. So what kind of travel hacks you got? Can you think
know,
of any?
Yeah, what I've learned, I used to be like a big packer and just like, oh, I might wear this. I'm going to pack it anyways. I don't do that anymore. I'm really strategic with what I pack, and I pack less. So much easier, especially when you're packing with a family. And I always try to stay at a place where I can like an Airbnb where we do laundry there, because the less I can pack, the better, the less I have to trug along with me. I have 3 kids. So like when we travel, we went to Hawaii last year, we brought like a huge stroller, we brought 3 car seats, we brought like so much stuff. So being able to stay at a place where you can do laundry and only pack a few outfits that you can just wash and wear over again was huge for me. Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Having kids, lugging them around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All this
It's
stuff.
nuts. And a good stroller.
Yes, a good stroller.
portable
is key.
stroller,
Yeah.
yeah.
So invest in a good stroller. Don't cheap out, because you're just gonna
Yeah.
have to replace it if you do.
And the nice thing about the strollers is that you can pack stuff in them, right? Like we always
Mm-hmm.
have our carriers, right?
Mhm.
So we put stuff in there, and they don't count as
Yeah.
luggage. So, vacation. So 2 vacations. Number 1, I would tell you, Rick, go to Indonesia over Thailand. Okay, so either go to Bali if you want to experience everything. Like if you want to go to like a city where you imagine how this is crazy, like there's so much lights and there's go-go dancers and
Yeah.
it's nuts. And then you can also go to the beach. You could rent what you're looking for. Like Indonesia is where I would tell you to go.
Okay.
And otherwise, and that's Bali. Otherwise, I would tell you to go to Lombok, which is also in Indonesia. So Neri and I, we went on this trip. A friend of mine, Jack, he used to own 441. He told me to go to Lombok. He said, get away from like the scene, and it's just da-da-da. I was like, okay, well, so we're going to do that. So we took a flight. It was a 20-minute flight, okay? And they bring you up. They serve you like Asian food, right? So the girl runs down the aisles, and it's just a small little airplane feeding you. She comes back, gets the food, prepare to land. It was that quick.
Wow.
Then we get
Right up my alley, right there.
You love it.
Yep.
And then we get there, and then so we catch a cab, and we're driving, and I'm like, hey man, where's the cities and stuff? And it was just farms on farms. He's like, oh, there's one city, but nobody really goes there. And he brought me to like the main beach, and it was literally like motels. Like it was just motels, and there was only like 2 of them, no street lights, right? And it was just nuts. And so we took a scooter, and we just said, okay, well, let's just risk it. I say, we die, right? Because nobody speaks English there, because it's not
Right.
colonized or
Right.
whatever you want to call it. So barely anybody speaks
Like
English there,
untouched.
and they're all huts. So everything is a hut. You want to go eat? You're eating in a hut.
Cool.
And
Perfect.
they're grabbing the egg from the chicken coop and cracking it.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's how
So
legit.
cool.
Like
you like that?
farmer.
Would you like
I
that?
think I would like the experience for like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
but
it's
then
a
I'd be
4 or
like,
5
okay,
day
I gotta
thing.
Get back
We
to-
got so lazy out there,
Yeah.
like because there wasn't much to do.
Right.
So you rent the scooter, and it's like the craziest, windiest road, and you're driving through like little like towns and stuff. But we drove and hit so many different beaches on the way. Like there was a dark blue beach that looked like there was just sharks in there.
Wow.
And then there was like a light clear beach that you can see everything. We actually went to a beach. We went in through like this hidden gate thing and whatever. We parked there, and we're like, and so we laid there, right? We're like, oh, it's awesome. Then this guy comes up to us. He's like, you want to eat? You want to eat? I was like, yeah, man, bring us some food. So he brought us food, and then I was like, hey, dude, can I come to your house? And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, house? Can I come to your house? You know what I mean? Brought us to his house, and they live in huts on the floor. You know what I mean? And there's like kids and everything, and they get their water from a well.
Yeah.
Like it was legit old school, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then they made us like coffee, but they use grounds, and then they just pour hot water, and it was the best coffee ever. Yeah.
Isn't it cool to experience something like that?
I think it would be, and
Yeah.
puts things into perspective, right? And just makes you feel so gratitude for all the conveniences you have.
Yes, big time, big
Yeah.
time.
Should we talk about our business?
Yeah, let's get into it. You want to explain your business to everybody?
Yeah, sure. So tutoring, we do in-home tutoring. Usually it's in-home. Since COVID-19 hit, we transitioned everybody to online. So we do an online platform now where we have like a whiteboard and face-to-face, and you can see and hear each other. And we upload all of our like academic documents on there. But basically, TutorBright is an academic and mentorship program. So we help students get caught up. We help them get ahead. We help them to maintain their academics. We create individualized programs, or we also do just based on whatever the teacher is assigning, right? Helping the students with their homework, helping them better prepare themselves for their tests, quizzes, assignments, things like that. So really just overall support. And then we have a big mentorship component to the tutoring as well. So just helping every student realize their true potential, giving them a lot of positive reinforcement, and just helping to build their self-esteem. It's a big part of what we do.
Imagine if you had a tutor in school.
Yeah.
So a tutor outside of the school system, a parent might hire you or your crew to get them caught up on something specific or everything.
So it can be, usually it's not like we don't just do like, oh, you need a session, here's a session. Usually it's like they'll work with each other for a few months or the entire school year is what most of our families do. They stick with it. And yeah, it's funny that you say like, a lot of people say, oh, imagine you had a tutor growing up. And it is a game changer. Like for me, I was the kind of student where I'd sit in class and I'd take notes, but I didn't understand what my teacher was saying. It wasn't until I went home, reviewed everything, practiced it, and then met with my tutor that I was like, things started clicking, light bulbs started going off. And I was getting amazing grades, not because I was naturally smart, but because I put the work in. I had someone that taught me one-on-one at my level, at my pace. And through working with my tutor, I just became so empowered. Like I felt like, wow, if I put hard work into anything, I can accomplish anything.
Nice.
And having had that experience myself, that's the same type of experience that I want to give to every single student that works with TutorBright.
You got a great mindset.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. Like that's one advantage Jet will get growing up is that he's always going to have somebody in his corner as a coach and a mentor, and it's going to be like arranged mentorship and arranged coaching. So like swimming lessons, right? I took swimming lessons, I was good at it, but I only did like the first couple phases and figured it out on my own. Imagine if I had swimming lessons all the way up until I could have a lifeguard thing.
Yeah.
And I got that, by the way.
You have the lifeguard thing?
I got back in my day. You had a little
the colors,
card, and then they give you a patch.
Yeah,
and I got all the patches.
Come on, you still have it?
Yeah, I got like gold or silver patch or whatever. Like I'm part dolphin now.
That's awesome.
Can't remember what it was.
That's awesome.
Rick the Baywatch.
Yeah, that's why you run like Baywatch.
I swear to God, guys, you believe me or not, when I watched Baywatch, my life's goal was to be a lifeguard.
It is not too late.
Based on that stupid
We got to get
show.
those shorts, those red shorts, nice booty shorts.
No problem. I'll get those shorts.
Yeah, we need those.
I'll get the David Hasselhoff. I got the David
motion.
Hasselhoff.
Jerome,
now.
do you have a slow motion feature if Rick goes for a run?
Not today.
Okay.
Not today. No.
Yeah.
No.
No, I think that's a huge advantage. When I was a kid, it was intimidating and almost embarrassing to ask the teacher for help because you look up to the teacher and they're the front, they're an old person, and I don't want to really ask for help. And if you do, it's very short and brief.
Yeah.
I've always tried to find the smartest person in the room and get them to teach me, but if I don't get it, it's frustrating for them, and so then I feel like I'm behind them. So I always found somebody a little bit smarter than me and a little bit dumber than me. And so then I would learn from the smart person, and then I would teach the dumb person. And that's I've always done that throughout my entire university career. And everything I learned from somebody smart, I then teach.
That is the best way to really solidify one's learning. And we always tell our tutors, like, don't ask your student, oh, do you get this? Yeah. Okay, cool. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I always tell them, like, don't believe anything your student says. Make them prove it to you. So they have to teach it back to you, and then you can move on. But even there are some amazing teachers out there who overextend themselves and are awesome. But for one teacher to teach 26 students, it's kind of impossible. Like some students need it taught to them differently or need more time, so that's where a tutor can come in. Because again, at your level, at your pace. And the nice thing about our tutors is we handpick a tutor for every student. So we handpick a tutor based on personality, based on what the student's academic expertise requirements are, based on what the student's goals are, and who we think that student's going to want to work with. Because if the student likes their tutor and looks forward to working with their tutor and trusts their tutor, they're going to be comfortable being like, hey, I don't get this, or
Yeah.
I bombed this test, or hey, I got this going on in my life right now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, right? So that having that mentor is a really big thing.
Yeah,
I
just
think
like
that's-
us coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we do is that we have group delivery. So
Yeah.
people are like, how do you focus on every person in there when you got 30 people in there? It's like, well, that's what we do, but there's also we do online like nutrition coaching. Like Hugo's one of our nutrition guys now, and so every Wednesday he's in there and he's like one-on-one dissecting you. We do it in our show yesterday. We dissected, or on Wednesday we dissected somebody's like goals and like how they're eating, and we gave specific coaching. So what we do is almost like a curriculum itself, right? The
Yeah.
workout is
Yeah.
showing up and learning, and then there's like the extra
Homework.
parts where
Yeah.
we're sending you emails of like, hey, this is how you do this, and this is, and we're like layering it out
Yeah.
for our clients so that by the end of this, they're eating, breathing,
Yeah.
living like us,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's basically what we're aiming for.
Do you think the system in itself is effective?
Like, what do you mean?
Meaning,
The
okay,
education system,
you know,
or-
like you said, it's hard for one
Yeah.
teacher to teach 20, 30 kids or whatever. So just like here, so the system has to educate the masses. We have to train the masses. And then I feel like if you're ready to take it to another level, then you hire someone like yourself, or you hire somebody outside of what you're doing. But you hear all of these things about the school system and how it's overrun, or the teachers are overworked. Would you have an opinion on whether it's an effective way of teaching or not? Like, say, the public school system?
I mean, I think it can be. Everybody's different and everybody learns different. It really is down to the individual. Now, as children, like, we don't know, okay, I got to go home and I got to study this or learn this so that I know it better for next year. A lot of it is like the parent's involvement and how the parent is able to like motivate and help the student become accountable. Because really, like, one teacher can't hold 26 students accountable every single day.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all about what's going on in the home and what the parents are, how they're supporting their children. And some of them like to be able to bring in a tutor because now they can be a parent, not a teacher also.
Yes.
And that's a big thing too, is like having an outsider come into the home and work with your child. I mean, I've tutored so many students and my students loved me. I'm going to tell you that. But when I sit down with my own kids to do work, it works like 30% of the
Yeah.
time. The other 70% of the time, they're like, I want to go play. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
This,
Oh, it's
that,
so true,
right?
man.
I know.
And now you're battling them and you want to be a parent. You want to be like loving and supportive. You don't always like being their teacher is not always effective.
It's like, fine, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
You don't want to do this?
I literally said that to my kids
I
the other
love
day.
the best
Like,
thing.
fine.
I was never been in daycare, right? We just did daycare. Wasn't a thing. When Jet went into daycare, the evolution of him was almost instantaneous.
Yeah.
The evolution of my youngest now is he's way fast. He's already like taking steps, and he's only like 12 or 13 months now. Versus Jet, it took him almost 17, 18 months
Yeah.
because he sees being
He's trying
around
to keep
that.
up.
So he has a big brother.
Yeah.
But when Jet went to daycare, not only did he walk within his first week, but he talked within his first month. And it was just being in that environment and then having the structured day. Like, he was napping. I was like, how do you get him to nap at 1 all the time? Now he just passes out whenever he wants.
Those daycare teachers are amazing. I went into my kids' daycare. It was their first ever picture day. And these are like, there's like a class of like 22 and 3-year-olds. And they're like, okay, class, we're going to take a group picture. In my head, I'm going, oh my God, we're going to be here forever. They got every single child to sit there, take a picture under 2 minutes. It was done.
Really?
I was like, whoa, you guys are amazing. And there's, I like hats
And
off
it's
to
not
them.
that expensive either.
Yeah.
So like to put Jet in
It's worth
daycare,
it.
if you're making a good wage, right, then you'll pay full price, and it's about $30 a day, which isn't much if you think about it. Like, imagine you had to
Totally
stay home
reasonable.
from work,
Yeah, no, agreed. Yep.
right? That $30, even if you're making minimum wage, that's only 2-3 hours of your day.
Yeah. It's
Versus they
reasonable.
can be there for 6, 7, 8 hours, right? Sometimes 9.
Can you find daycare?
Well,
Daycares are hard to get into.
They are,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
we got lucky. We kind of just found one that was open. We were at a Montessori daycare, so it's private. But actually, we got really lucky, and they just are always accommodating to us and as many people as they can. So.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. Number one, what does it cost for people to get a tutor?
Yes.
Yeah, so totally legitimate question. So when we start off with somebody, we always start off first with a free assessment to see where the student's at, where their communication skills like who, what kind of person they're probably going to want to work with. But it also helps us build the framework for their program and what they're going to be working on. So that is an initial assessment. It's about an hour to an hour and a half. That's free.
That's super generous.
Yeah, it is generous, totally. And then after that, it's on an hourly rate. So in Winnipeg, our rate is about, I think it's around 48 to 52 dollars per 1 hour session. So when we're in home, that includes the tutor coming into the home. That
Okay.
includes the program that we create.
Traveling.
We go to the we contact the teachers as well, just to make sure that like the tutor, the teacher, like everybody's involved on the process and knows what the goals are for the student. And then we create a program as well. So you're looking at between 48 to 52 per.
I don't know what kind of
session.
margins you got on there, but maybe we can talk about a Fit Club discount.
Possibly.
Fit.
How much? What would? Yeah, for me and all my kids. What's an effective amount of time that you need a tutor for? So let's say that you have a kid who they're a basic learner.
Mm-hmm.
You as a parent want them to excel, hit a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
What's the amount of time would you say that a tutor should step in on a weekly basis?
You know, it's dependent on the grade level of the student,
Okay.
if they're behind, if they're ahead, what courses they're in. So, like, you know, if you have a teenager who's taking grade 11 pre-calculus math and they're only sitting at like a 56%, well, we probably want to do twice a week for an hour and a half, so a
Okay.
total of 3 hours. So I don't recommend doing tutoring more than like 3 times a week, or twice a week is ideal, because we don't want the student to be dependent on the tutor.
Right.
We want to teach the child the concepts and be there to teach them what they need to know. But then it's the student that has to practice on their own, learn how to be accountable, and learn to put the work in.
Mhm.
And then it's a coach, right? Like you guys as trainers, you're not like with your client every time they go do a workout.
Yeah.
They got to figure it out for themselves. So twice a week for an hour and a half if you're like a high schooler in high level math or science. If you are doing well and you just want someone to like for maintenance or to help you really reach your true potential, but you're already doing well in school, once a week is good. And then like for my children, they're young. I have them see a tutor once a week for an hour, focusing on early literacy and early numeracy. But if you're consistent and you start like from an early age, like that once a week for an hour goes a really long way.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I'm impressed with just even like seeing it in my own children, like how much they remember and retain because it's consistent every week.
Yeah. Do you have tutors that tutor boys versus girls? Is there a different way that you teach them, or is it generally the same?
It depends on the personality of the child. So sometimes like we'll try to get our tutors to like if your child's really into hockey, we'll bring in things and try to engage the student.
Okay. To relate to them a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
exactly. So like
It's a great idea.
yeah, there are a bunch of math tricks and
Oh.
or like chemistry tricks that you can kind of bring sports or different things like that into.
Nice.
So I just want to say hello to our audience, Richard Letta. I'm not sure if you know Dr. Richard Letta. He's a chiropractor. He
yes.
says hello. Says you're doing big things. Gail says hi, Rick.
Hi, Gail.
Gail from Synoptic Heating and Cooling. She's one of our sponsors. Gail Morino.
Marinova.
Nova. Yeah, she said. Ron said hi.
Oh, hi, Gail.
David S. Thompson was reminiscing of our last pool party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a T-Rex story behind that, but
One of our coaches.
yeah. We got Cynthia, as always. She says she's going for a walk and listening to the podcast. Thank you for always tuning in.
Awesome.
Cassidy was Jet's, worked at the daycare.
Awesome.
And she said Jet was always the best napper. And then Gail says, yes, please, Fit Club discount.
Okay, we will work something out for you, Fit Clubbers. We will work something out for you. And Gail, I love Gail.
Okay.
Yeah,
Everybody
Gail a
loves
long
Gail.
time.
Man, I can't find one thing bad about Gail,
Nothing.
eh?
There's
Jeez,
nothing.
she's so good.
I have
So
actually a
nice.
question. So, two things. Number one, daycare versus Montessori. Number two, public versus private schooling. Go.
Awesome. Okay. Well, my kids have only ever been to a Montessori, so I can't speak to regular daycares.
So Montessori is double the money, Rick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think like mine is really reasonably priced. We did a little bit of shopping because we're in the South End, and we did a little shopping around. And the Montessori that we use, which is in South Pembina, it's Nova. I like 10 stars. I just love the teachers there. They're so nice. But it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the other Montessori's when we were shopping around. So if you can get into Nova, and they just opened up a second location, I highly recommend it. But I've never had my kids at another daycare. All I know is that at Montessori, it's almost like little school. Like they go in and they start with O Canada. Like they're 2 and 3 years old and they're singing O Canada.
That's funny.
They have circle. They read stories. They have all these like little like hands-on learning activities. Even if it's just like pouring things or transferring things, they're always engaged. And my kid, they always come home with like a craft that they're so proud to show me. They know like their letters, their numbers, their days of the week. Like they teach them every day. So I love that about the Montessori. Private versus public. I went to
Schooling.
schooling.
Yeah.
So I went to a public school.
So you don't know much about daycare?
No, I can't
Okay.
say anything. But I know. I mean,
Every daycare is different. So
Exactly.
we've gone to 3 daycares, and they're all different. The people are different,
Yeah.
but generally, what you're saying, they do a lot of that stuff. I just
Okay.
don't feel like maybe they don't have. Maybe somebody could chime in as structured. So
Yeah.
I've been to a Montessori, and it's a little bit eerie, right? You seeing like little kids like with tweezers, and they're like,
Yeah, that's true.
and they sit there.
They're
and
working on their fine motor
Doing
skills.
what?
It's like walking
working
into
on
a
their fine motor.
episode of Matrix, right? So
Yeah.
when we were looking for daycares, we went to a Montessori. I was like, he's not going into that. This
Well,
this
I
guy.
feel like that was awesome.
No,
Why
but
would
I was
you
like,
not? That's
I was like,
intriguing to
he
me.
needs to learn to roll. He needs to walk. He needs to
do
he needs
that.
to interact. He needs to play. I felt, and I know Montessori is a good program, but I felt it was just way too much, way too early. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever. I guess there's no good time for that, but I felt it was just a bit blue collar for me.
Okay.
Right? Like I want him to learn to be a child first. And again, this is just how I felt when I walked in there. It felt very like they're prepping them for work,
Yeah.
right? To sit at a desk, and I didn't like that.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to know, hey, where's your gymnasium? Like, what kind of outdoor stuff? You guys don't even have a field. Where
Really?
do you take
They didn't
these
have
kids?
any of that?
A lot of them have like a little minor
Yeah.
field. So like for us, the big thing was like the outdoor space.
Yeah.
And so the daycare that he's at right now, they have a nice big thing,
Yeah.
and they got a play structure, and that was huge, right? And
Yeah.
plus, it's 5 minutes from our house. So.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's different. Like mine has a lot of those things too. But yeah, I mean, you go in and you get a sense of like, okay, is this the right place for my child or not?
Yeah.
So Montessori or not, I think that it's got to be the right place for what you're looking for.
Okay, so then let's go public, private.
Okay, so and I think I'm gonna do the exact same thing with my own children as well. So I actually went to a public school until I was in grade 6.
Okay.
And I thought it was the great thing about a public school. And again, just like with daycares, like every teacher you get is going to be different. Some teachers are going to be more involved or more overcommitted or less, or some teachers are jaded. They've been around for like 50 years. Others
Yeah,
are
all my
right?
teachers right there.
Yeah,
All mine,
others
yeah.
are like they've just graduated and they're ready to give it their all and they want to empower their students. And so, I mean, there's some really amazing teachers out there. I went to a public school and I had like some really awesome teachers. And then the best thing about going to public school for me was that I got to make friends in the neighborhood. So I was able to like become best friends with like the girl down the street, and we were able to go bike riding, and you knew everybody that lived in your community, and that was so key. And then when I was in grade 7, my mom sent me to St. Mary's Academy. So that's a private school, all girls. It was like a 25-minute drive to school every day. All my friends were like, I was in the North End. I had friends in Lindenwood, St. Norbert. Like, if I wanted to hang out with a friend, my parents would basically have to drive like 30 minutes one way.
Right.
You
And
lived
then,
in the North End?
Yeah, I grew up in Tyndall Park.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. So that said, though, it was a good school because they had really high expectations of me.
Mhm.
And when I graduated in grade 12 and I went to university, it was like, no thing. Like a lot of students I find from public schools, unless you're in an AP program, an advanced program, you struggle a little bit going to university because the expectations are a lot harder. Like the exams are harder, the tests are harder, the workload is big in university, and you have to be very self-disciplined. And that's what a private school really set me up for. I already knew how to manage my time. I already knew how to study. I already knew that I had friends at public schools that it'd be like a Tuesday night and they were all going like hanging out at someone's house. I was like, I got like tests and exams and assignments to study for. Like, there's no way I'm going out tonight. And I knew that at like 17.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
that's what it set me up for.
Yeah.
So I think I might transition my kids from a public school, like once they're in grade 7 or maybe grade 9, into a private, just so they have more of a have those high expectations. Or if they really want to stay at a public school, then I would say fine, but you have to do an IB or an AP program because then that's sort of like an advanced level.
Yeah.
I had to learn discipline and structure.
Mhm.
Like I had to, and I feel like I live in the North End, so that's right by St. John's High School, and there's just that was never really there. We had good teachers, but if there was guys like me there, they were happy because there's either like us, there was a few very intelligent people, and then everybody else was just like, if you can get them to show up, then they're happy, right? And I had to learn that in my probably late, I probably would say 30. I didn't become disciplined until I was in my 30.
Whose responsibility is it to teach kids about money? I feel like there's no support in public school. I don't know how it was in the private school. Is there ever a money discussion?
There's like essentials math where you learn about like taxes and budgeting and things like that.
What about investing and compound interest and paying off mortgages?
Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship. Like, does that exist in the school system?
Some schools have like a venture development course or like economics courses. So some schools do.
What about the tutoring system?
You can, like, we do essentially we do tutoring in any grade level, any subject, but I think it's like, honestly, I remember when I took essentials math in high school and I was learning about like taxes and mortgages and stuff, like it didn't mean anything to me because it was all stuff out of a textbook. Whereas like if I had like a parent or like an aunt or an uncle that sat down with me and they're like, oh, so you want to buy a house by the time you're 25? Okay, so this is what you got to do.
Yes.
This is how much money you want to save, and this is how much interest you're going to pay to the bank over like 20 years. If someone had like sat down and talked to me about that practical stuff, I think it would have made so much more sense for me down the road. But and that's the other thing too, is like we talked about private schools and public schools. At the end of the day, I honestly think it's like the home, like what's going on in the home and what the parents are saying to their children. Because you can be at a public school but have parents who are like on you and telling you that you gotta like, hey, you gotta hit these grades if you want to accomplish this down the road. And like if you have that, then that's a huge game changer. It doesn't matter what school you go to or who your teacher is.
Right.
So if you're a hands-off parent, send them to a more complex school. If you're hands-on, then they could probably get away with going to public.
I think so. Like
so you have to make that decision.
Yeah, and like for me, like my parents like had never gone to university. They were very lax. Like I don't even think they went to a parent-teacher interview ever. So I was lucky that I went to a private school where the teachers were on me.
My 4 top, I was trying to think of this. So top subjects. Number 1, gym, obviously. Number 2 was dance. Okay.
They offered that in high school?
Yeah, that's how I got my
class?
my curriculars.
Really?
You see me dancing.
No, you're very good at dancing.
Thank you.
They did well there.
Dancing. Number 3 was cooking. I love the cooking one, right?
Home
I didn't like
Was it called
cooking.
home
I
ec?
liked eating. Yeah, it was home ec,
like
right?
the eating
I liked the eating, so I'd always team up with, the girl that knew how to cook, right? That was 3. And then number 4 was language arts. Like I loved giving speeches. I loved writing like stories and all that kind of stuff. So what about you?
Well, I always crushed it in gym. I actually graduated from Daniel Mack with not just a diploma, with a business diploma, which means that you had to have 8 credits that were related to extra business. So I don't know I can't remember. Let's just say you needed 20 credits to graduate. I graduated with 24. So I actually got 2 diplomas.
Nice.
Awesome.
But one of the things that I took was actually typing on a typewriter. That's how old I am. So yeah, an actual typewriter. It did have
I did that too. I remember. And then the
like I didn't have to do this. There
I
was
remember
a button,
doing that.
But that was the technology that I was at. But you know what? It's been the skill that I obviously everybody still uses. He's still typing today, right?
Yeah, big time.
So that was the reason why I'm asking is because I feel that money is obviously, I mean, makes the world go around, right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like so many people come out of school and they could be so smart, they could be able to cut into your chest and change your heart out for you, but they don't know how to, manage their money, or they don't know how to save, they don't know how to invest, they don't know how to look after themselves, so that in 20 years they're set for retirement. And I would really like to see, I don't know, maybe it's a tutoring program, an outside school where they just teach you that. And I feel if you could get a handle on that, no matter what you do, you would be okay later in life.
True.
Yeah. So
I think that there should be mentorship. So the school that I would want to send Jet to isn't going to be based on academics. He might go to Tech Voc, or that's for my wife, or RB Russell. Like, if there wasn't the bad of the gangs and stuff like that there at those 2 schools, then I would send him there because I want him to know how to fix a car. I want him to know how to dig a ditch. I want him to take an entrepreneurial course. I want him to learn a bunch of skills, and then we'll say, okay, you can be a doctor or whatever. And I would talk to him about the hours and put it all into right? I remember I went into a school and I taught about entrepreneurship, and it was funny because I brought a lot of people's dreams up and I brought a lot of people's dreams down because, to understand a business, okay, you want me to come and talk business, or do you want me to come talk business? Because it's going to be 2 different topics, right? It's like, these are the truths. This is what you see, and this is how you get there. You know what I mean? And there's 2 different things. And I feel if they brought in people, like Mark was saying about money, bring a guy in off the street. And what was it that why is he there?
Yeah.
Right? What was his money and just make it all about money. Then bring in a guy, like bring in somebody that did it the educational way. So bring in your lawyers, your doctors, and then also bring in a guy that just dropped out of high school and is now running one of the best plumbing companies in the city.
Yeah.
Like,
I
That's
agree.
so true.
It's
I,
the
there's
same
so
way.
Three
many
different ways, right?
successful people who,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
I feel like
didn't even
there's-
graduate.
Yeah, exactly, right? But and it's just bringing it right back to fitness. If you have money, health, or an understanding of money, it doesn't matter what you do. You could literally work at a part-time or a minimum wage job for your life, but if you know how to invest,
Yeah.
live within your means, and by the time you're 60, you've got $1 million portfolio that you could live off of, right? If we could just learn how to do that, and to get to your point about working with your hands, I feel like my generation, we grew up doing everything with our hands. We didn't have computers, and then we learned computers. The kids now, they're growing up in computers, but they don't know how to swing a hammer, change their tires. So it's
Conversation
almost
skills.
conversation skills are non-existent.
Anxiety through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I mean, maybe this is the parents. This is why I'm just curious what your take would be. Whether it's the parents, it's a tutor, it's a system. How do you now get people to teach your kid how to change a flat tire or do just regular stuff,
So one thing that is so profound about like COVID-19 is that our kids are with us more than like ever before, right? Hockey's canceled, soccer's canceled, school's canceled, everything's canceled. Like all they have is at home with mom and dad. And what I'm finding as a parent is like my kids are my mirror. And how I handle times of difficulty, how I figure things out, how I problem solve around the house, how I think critically, how I react versus respond. I am teaching my kids everything. So I really think that and your kids are going to look up to mom and dad more than any teacher ever. I think it's always the parents. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Guess that would be a whole different podcast.
So I think a new Montessori. So like you have your kids in Montessori, and you're super fired up about them like grabbing a marble and putting in the next thing. The Montessoris are these vocational schools. If you think about it, right, the vocational skills are teaching them immediate life skills, right? If I go and learn about science and this and that, and I want to be a biologist, right? I mean, you're talking about a career and a life purpose that's going to happen 10 years down the road after they graduate or something like that, right? So it's like there should be the mix of both. So, at these big fancy private schools, they should have a lot of those things like shops.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like woodwork.
Because they're important things. Yeah. No, 100%.
It's not just about math and science. And
For
you know what I
me,
mean?
like I graduated with a biochemistry degree from the UW. And I am naturally, like I said, like I'm not naturally smart. I had to work. When I was in university, I was like studying 8-9 hours a day. And so what I got out of that biochemistry degree was like the time management, the organizational skills, how to work at something, how to be resilient, how to think I did awesome on a test, but only score 63%, and then self-reflect and go, okay, what the hell did I do wrong here? Those are the skills that I learned that helped me succeed in life, not necessarily like the organic chemistry combination reactions. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't that. It was everything else. So, I mean, I 100% agree, like being able to change a tire and like put a shed together, all that's super important. But there's also YouTube for that now.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
can learn anything for free on YouTube, but it's more so like, it's like that determination, that resilience, that consistency, that persistence. Is really the key.
Actually, that's a good point. The technology has solved
Yeah.
that problem.
I've never done well on the tests where there's an exact answer. So like you mentioned biochem, and I still remember that blue book. I think I still have it at home. And when you have to have this equation, and then there's that right exact answer. I like coming into quizzes where it's like you're gonna challenge me.
You can bullshit your way out of
Yeah,
that.
Exactly.
Okay, so give me a topic. Yeah, no problem. Boom. I got through a whole school year of doing that.
Yeah.
And then also like I love the practicals, right? Like I'm a practical person, so it's like I graduated as an athletic therapist, so tape an ankle.
Yeah.
Boom, let's go through it. Let's do an assessment. Yeah, let's talk. Right. Let me put you through range of motion. Oh, you want to do a workout? Right. It was just like, no problem. Let's do it. Right. Like I love that portion versus like sitting down and then just writing a test.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yeah.
So, Chelsea, we hit the 45-minute mark.
Okay.
Is there anything else you wanted to share with? We got your business covered. Did you want to talk anything more about that? Everybody knows what you do.
can
So how do
find
they
us
get a
out.
hold of you?
Yeah, how do they get a hold of you? Yeah.
TutorBright.com, www.tutorbright.com. We're also on Instagram, TutorBright Central Canada. You can find us there. And yeah, if you are looking for support, you want to get your student ahead. One thing that I do want to touch on is like summer learning loss has been proven to be a thing year after year, but now they're actually starting to do studies on COVID learning loss because our kids are out of the classroom for 6 months. And when our kids do go back to school, fingers crossed they're going to be able to go back in September. But when they go back, like they're still going to be expected to know everything for this grade level, all of the curriculum outcomes, and they're going to have to be ready for the next grade. So while summer is usually a time of like a break, and parents are like, yeah, we're going to take a break for the summer, we're going to take it easy. Like this is the summer to really ramp it up and to keep up the learning, even if it's just an hour a day. It doesn't need to be 5-6 hours every day. No, but like consistency, like an hour a day, a little bit of math, a little bit of reading, a little bit of writing, and then just like interacting with your kids, like you said, like teaching them communication, conversational skills, like watch a nature documentary or play a board game as a family, right? Like, yeah, I definitely
Those are all
keep the
tips
learning
that,
up.
that you're saying right now. Oh, so what else? Let's talk about it. What else could you do? Do you have any more to that list? Yeah, let's talk about it real quick.
So, like, you could do a family book club, right? Where you guys all pick a book together, and then you literally set up a date and a time where everyone has to read that chapter, and then you talk about the theme, the plot, the characters, and it's about critical thinking. It's reading comprehension. Board games are great, especially if you think of ones that have a minor educational component, like Risk or even like Yahtzee. There's Monopoly. There's Cranium. There's Pictionary. These are great because they help students learn how to think on their feet. You have to kind of come up with a strategy, a plan, a goal, and then you might have to pivot or adapt as the game carries on. But then board games are good because, you know, people laugh and you reduce stress when you're playing board games. It's just fun. And then cooking and baking is a big thing. Like if you can get your kids who are teenagers to make dinner for you, that's 2 wins, right? They're following a recipe, they're reading, they're practicing math, measurement, and they're practicing leadership and taking initiative by putting this all together.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Jet always makes my protein shakes.
Does he?
Yeah.
Wait, how does he do that?
He just goes and gets the protein. He puts it on the counter. He goes and grabs a bottle. He puts it on the counter. He goes and scoops. How much protein? He asks me.
Oh, yeah?
Full scoop? He goes like that. I'm like, full scoop.
Yeah.
Boom. He puts it in. Is that enough? And I'm like, yeah, that's enough. Thank you. And then I put water, and then he shakes it for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
There you go.
So just so you know, some of the things that you said that impacted me, I just wrote it down here. So detach from guilt. It's and call it a non-negotiable. You got to fill your cup first. Everything is easier with support. Be more, do less. Be more, do less. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Travel hack, less packing, the better.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I pulled out of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anything else to say
No,
before we
thank
wrap
you.
it up?
Thank you. I think we could have talked about that for a little while.
All right, guys. Thank you, Chelsea Arns, for coming down here. If you guys need her services, you know how to get a hold of her. And one last thing I want you to remember, at Fit Club, it's more than just a workout.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Pollo, carne.
Pollo carne.
Just get in that for Hugo.